Yo, welcome people. Welcome back to the channel. You don't know, this is Denny, from Denny Visuals, and on this channel we talk about everything filmmaking, camera gears, lighting techniques, and tutorials. A lot of that to come. And this is a little bit different. This is the first time I'm actually having somebody on the channel, and
That's
of
right.
course, it's a pleasure for have my brethren, my brother from another mother. You
That's
don't
right.
know,
Big ups.
original
Happy to be here.
Randy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Randy.
we'll plug
Alyssa
the
Candy.
IG.
A joke. Cut. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Alisa, big up yourself.
I love you, baby.
Big up yourself.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So this one is special. So if you don't know, Randy is a cinematographer, director of photography, same thing. And he lives here in Jamaica as well. And you know,
And this is Kingston, Jamaica, not to be mistaken
Kingston,
with Jamaica,
Jamaica,
Queens.
not New York.
Yeah.
The don't come from
Real yard, man.
Yard man thing. Like real yard, not
really.
fake yard. But yeah, so working DP and thing, really talented youth. So
Appreciate it, man.
really excited for having fun. The show? God, this is not even a show.
And let's hope
se.
this is not just a one-off thing.
Yeah,
keep this going.
It's not a podcast.
It's not a podcast.
Maybe.
It might be.
Who knows what the future holds,
let's
guys?
see it goes
Who knows
first.
what the
Baby
future holds?
steps, one step at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today, right? I don't know what date Blackmagic did some announcements, but
it was last week, was it?
Last week.
It was
last week. Today is the 8th of March. So last week, Blackmagic did an announcement to introduce some new line of cameras. Well, not a new line. It's in addition to their broadcast line of cameras, right?
Big up Grant Petty.
Yeah, Grant, big up yourself. I have a love-hate relationship with you right now, bro. And I'll get into that in a moment. But today we're gonna be talking about Blackmagic, everything Blackmagic. Why we are Blackmagic users. Even though Randy kind of switched side, and maybe a little later we'll introduce you to
agnostic,
what.
Sir. I'm brand. I prefer the term brand agnostic.
Brand agnostic.
I work with what works with me. And
so Blackmagic work?
Yes, it does work with me, but I need more.
Right.
Than Blackmagic is offering from me, right?
Wow.
And I also need, what, we're gonna get into that later.
We're going to get
into that. But go ahead, continue.
So yeah, Blackmagic announced some new stuff, some new panels for the broadcasting people, and that's great. You know what I mean? I'm not really in broadcast, really and truly. I don't do live events and everything there.
Myself,
not a lot. So I'm not really super excited about broadcast.
Like, it's cool. The stuff that it came out was really cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool, especially for the price. And you don't know, Blackmagic has a knack for giving creatives lower end price products, but with a punch in terms of what you get.
They serve the industry at multiple levels and at affordable prices. Definitely in comparison to other people, but also just by themselves, they're really affordable. So they have what I like is that they have a tiered system. So they might have a particular product and they'll have one at the low end of the market and they have one at the high end of the market. And all of these will work together in a similar way. They don't make only the premium features just in the expense. The small one would have premium features, but maybe just less of it. So instead of 10 channels, you might get 4. But it works because you don't need 10 channels.
Or you might just get HDMI only.
Yeah, instead of HDMI, SDI.
Exactly. True. Like what they have in their extreme, like the ISO stuff, the switchers, the lower end switchers. So you might get an HDMI only device, and then you can choose an SDI only device. And then you go up to the bigger tier, as you say, which is like the 8M Pro, which has
pretty impressive.
Yeah,
I do really like it.
If
I was
really
going to get more into broadcasting, I would definitely buy one.
Yeah,
I saw this interesting thing one time. There's this dude that made this broadcasting to go kit, but he rigged it out with a handle, so you can pick it up, and it has the ATEM on it. It has a audio recording. It's basically an entire podcasting. Thank you very much. An entire broadcasting live streaming kit package, and it has the one that has the 4 channels in it, and you just plug it up in it, run the cables to it, and you have a basically an OB broadcasting system in that. And he shows you exactly how to make it. I'll send you the video. It's pretty dope.
Wow. And OB is, if you don't know,
Outside broadcasting.
outside
So
broadcasting.
that's what companies will use when they have an OB truck, and they'll use that to broadcast to different TV stations from a particular location. For example, when they're doing football or basketball tournaments or any kind of, usually in sporting activities is where I see it used most.
Okay. Well, I'd assume that even for like indoor stuff, if you're doing a concert, this will come in pretty
Yes,
handy.
that's true.
For the people who aren't like running huge broadcast studio setups,
Yeah.
then if you're run and gun, run and gun by yourself, or even maybe you have two other videographers with you, then this is a good solution.
It's a very good solution.
Okay. Well, so today, as I alluded to earlier, we're gonna talk about Blackmagic and my expectations and it not being met.
No, I feel like we have to dial it back a little bit before, because we want to tell the story. So Blackmagic comes out and they say, all right, we're gonna announce these new technologies, new cameras. They said new cameras and new broadcasting something. Did they say?
No, they never specified.
But they said new cameras and something else.
Yeah, they just have an update.
Yeah, so they have updates with new cameras and da 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 da. No, Dennis. I don't know if I want to say your last name, but Dennis. They know your last name?
I mean, they probably don't mean.
Well, Dennis Fife said to me, he got excited, Randy. Yeah, man, is it? This is my time to shine. Now, you might not know, Dennis and I have had not a long-standing beef, but a long-standing misunderstanding that, or lack of understanding, I don't know, whichever you want to call it, that he believes, Blackmagic is going to see what all of their how we call them now, their customers and brand supporters are asking for. The box style camera.
Everybody's waiting.
Everybody wants it. I agree. Even
this.
I wanted it too. And I was there waiting patiently. But I've long since moved on, because my understanding of Blackmagic Design's position as a company is where I say, you know what? I don't think this is something they're going to deliver for many reasons. So now, before we get into that, so now they say, this show is going to happen. It's live now. Then it says, see it here now. I'm gonna bet you them
Ursa
new camera.
G3. That's
Ursa
what we're waiting
G3.
on. We are waiting on the Ursa G3.
This is coming out. Box style camera. Something new.
Yeah. Mini Alexa.
No,
for real.
They did have a new camera. But I'll let Denny take it from here.
Yo, first of all, the suspense. Like, we watched it from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Hoping that this thing would drop. And especially in the beginning, right? Because I remember messaging you on Instagram and like, yo, they said that they had cameras, not just one camera, but cameras. So I was at least expecting, okay, if you have a broadcast camera, at least you're showing the updated version of the Ursa that we've all been waiting for. And, like, most people who are camera enthusiasts right now, and if you're a fan of Blackmagic, then, you're probably waiting on the Ursa G3 like I am. Because, we want a box style camera, not too small, not too tiny. It doesn't have to be like the Komodo size on form factor. But a lot of people want something that is box style, that is modular, that can fit on a gimbal properly and have HDI outputs and all the other fancy stuff. A lot of people are looking for a film, not a film, but a full frame camera too from Blackmagic. So, that's something that I would be excited to see. But to be honest, it's neither here or there for me. I love the look of full frame. I've only shot
coming
once.
From being a photographer first. Yeah, because like myself, I've shot with full frame sensors a lot of my photography career.
I haven't,
and I've always liked the look.
I haven't.
You haven't? Oh.
No. So my first camera was actually a T3i. And then my second camera was a 80D. So both Super 35.
The first camera I used, not the one I owned, was a D90, a Nikon D90. That was, I think, if the model number is correct, was the first one that actually had video in the camera.
Wow.
Dope. And the screen was like maybe a 1-inch screen.
That's a while back, by the way.
And then after that, I used a Canon, and I don't remember if it was a T3i or a T2i or a T2, but it was way back then, and I started using that, and that had a marginally larger screen. But funny back then, I used to love Nikons more than Canons.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Boy, I've never been a Canon. I mean, a Nikon fan. Okay. I think every camera is good.
Yeah, they have biases in the way that they lean as it relates to color, and then also usability. So I find that Nikons are a bit more, they're what would you call it now? It's a comparison between Final Cut and Premiere Pro. Premiere will be more granular with all of the details, and you have to go deep to get the stuff. you don't have to go deep to see all the minute controls, whereas Final Cut, they hide all of that behind a simple interface. I think the same thing with Canon and Nikon, where Canon is akin to being Final Cut and Nikon is akin to being Premiere. But they're both cameras and they work.
Yeah, and they work.
doesn't
I think
matter.
back then we didn't really have a lot of choices per se.
True.
And you could say, well, this camera may be better than the other one, but no, you know, the playing field has been leveled. You know what I mean? In all aspects, from cinema world to photography.
That's true.
So we have a lot of hybrid cameras now that can do everything. And it's just to pick, choose, and refuse. And I mean, brand loyalty has definitely increased.
Yeah.
I think so. There's a lot of people who are die-hearted Canon fans, and a lot of people are now Sony die-hearted fans.
In many ways, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And now you see things like Panasonic with their introduction and things like that. So it's like, it's been very interesting in the camera world and technology, and just seeing how cameras evolve, which is why I am so excited to see the G3. Like, I am waiting on that camera, and I feel like, you know, honestly, I've looked in the direction of red. I've looked in the direction of red. I've looked at the Komodo. I've looked at not only the Komodo, but what's the other one again? The Raptor.
The Raptor.
And I think the Raptor is a decent offering. I don't really do a lot of high frame rate stuff, but having it is great.
Yeah.
But you know, like the dynamic range, great. They're both 16 stops, so that's great.
Yeah.
In both Komodo and the Raptor, global shutter on the Komodo, so that's great. So I feel like, if Blackmagic just really and truly come out with a camera that could, you know, have those things, even if it doesn't have global shutter but has a very good readout, I'm good with that. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
I think what I am looking for, Blackmagic, if you ever come across this video, what I'm looking for is, I've said this on your platform, I am looking for a camera that can do probably 6 or 8K. The resolution doesn't matter to me at this point. 6K is fine. You know what I mean? Even if it shoot 4K, that's fine.
Yeah.
But compete in the dynamic range area.
Yeah.
Like, give us something that can do 16 stops. If they give us that plus full frame, right, with adaptable mounts, you know, PL and those things in the box, probably, like if you get it with
in a box
the PL
format similar to
and
Z camera or Komodo.
yeah, but like in the box, you get PL mount and EF, so you can change the mount yourself.
Okay,
yeah, which you can do now with the no Ursa. So,
yes, you can.
You know what I mean? Even if you guys give us as an optional to order the mount, that's fine with me. I'll
even
pay
pay
for
extra,
the mount.
just the ability to be able to change it.
Exactly.
And this would be, you'd say, all right, so since we're talking about this, I do want to go back to what a little bit what you were saying before about the breakdowns of cameras, but since we're here, all right, spec wise, and position wise, you want to, where does the camera, so this ideal camera that you're talking about, because let's look at Blackmagic's line, and this is something I really want to talk about with you.
Of course,
and
I know.
business.
Yeah.
So let's look at Blackmagic line, and we'll work our way back into their business. They have the Ursa G2.
Yeah.
And we're not going to exhaustive, but the ones that apply to us.
Right.
They have the Ursa G2.
Specifically for filmmakers.
Yeah, then they have the Ursa, regular Ursa, which I don't know if they still, I assume they still sell those.
I have no idea.
But as broadcast, but they have the Ursa. Then they have the Ursa, the broadcast one.
The G2 plus the original one.
And the difference between the original and the broadcast, the original has the 4K sensor, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and this one has 6K.
And the new one has a 6K sensor, which is the same one that is
ISO,
in the 6K camera, not the 6K Pro, because I think that's a different sensor.
I don't know how different it is actually.
The Pro sensor, the 6K Pro and 6K sensor.
I think they
are the same,
Right. So what had a new sensor was the 12K.
The 12K.
With the bare
Then they have the 12K.
System. Right.
Yeah. So you have the is the 12K considered a G3 or is it just the 12K?
No, I think it's just the 12K. Yeah.
Okay. So they have the 12K.
It's a Ursa 12K.
Okay. So you have the Ursa 12K.
Yeah.
Ursa G2. Ursa
broadcast,
Ursa broadcast 6K, which has a 6K sensor, and then you have the 6K Pro, 6K, and then the 4K, which I think they haven't discontinued the 4K now.
Plus they have the broadcast one, like, so
Plus
you know we
the
have the Ursa broadcast,
yeah.
but you have the broadcast
The studio broadcast
yeah,
cameras,
studio,
which they
yeah,
released 2 new updates for that in the release
6K
that Dennis 5
and 4K.
wanted, you know, it to be a new camera. There's 2 new cameras. Anyways,
Bruh,
so yeah,
listen.
so they have a long list of cameras at both, as you can see, the top end and the bottom end, and they have broadcast ready cameras that are very studio ready with tally lights, everything top, back, and so on. So this ideal camera, now that you're listing out your specs, I want you to list out your specs so we can have this right here on record.
Yeah.
The specs that you want. And also where it would sit in that pre-existing line of camera. And let me say, people, let me look to this camera. I too would like these things from Ursa, from Blackmagic. I'm brand agnostic. I believe in just good cameras. I love what they offer, and I have my issues about it, which we're gonna talk about. But the same things he's asking for is the same things I would love from them. So don't feel like I don't like Black. I love Blackmagic so much. I love them as a company. I love them, their software, and I love their hardware. So yeah, back to you, Denny.
All right. So specs, a lot of us, you know what I mean, the film community, you guys can attest to this in the comments. We're looking for 6 or 8K in the sensor, possibly full frame, box style design, internal NDs. We would love electric NDs. So just like what's on the Sony, the Venice and
so like
the
FX6
ND
that can just fade in and out at a granular.
Yeah. So the FX6 carries that.
I
and
love
plus
that
the
camera.
Venice line. The Venice also has electronic ND as well. So that's something that I would love to see Blackmagic implement in their own cameras.
And talk about global. Is global shutter?
It's not no.
And then dynamic range. We'll talk about
dynamic range. Yes,
because right now they have about roughly 14 stops in the 6K.
In the 6K. But even the Ursa G, and this is funny because the Ursa G2 has
15 plus
15,
stops.
Yeah. And then the 12K have 14. If I'm not mistaken. I don't understand why that is.
Yeah, well, it's because of the technology. So when you pack in more photo sites on a sensor, you have to make them smaller.
Right.
And because they're smaller, it doesn't collect as much light as the 6K sensors. Because so basically that's really why. So they wouldn't be able to produce a higher dynamic range on that kind of sensor without, I don't know. It's probably just technically impossible. Or not impossible, but hard.
I would even say it's impossible.
It's not impossible. It's hard
because of the technology that they have in the 12K right now with the what is it, like the Bayer sensor. So it's like 2 green, 2 blue, 2 reds, and so on. So like with that kind of technology, and you know, I've seen like CVP talked about this and just like saying the tech that is in the 12K is like nothing that they've seen before per se. And you know, how they even achieve this with the dynamic range, how they achieve the dynamic range and the colors and everything is great. So I think it's an indication, and this is where I'm coming from. I mean, I think I'm done with the specs. Not necessarily, actually.
Because I want you to give me the full specs. Yeah, and then where will it sit in the line?
Yeah, so design-wise,
and the cost.
I'm hoping that it will be designed in a way where I'd say not the perfect, but I love the design of the Venice. Especially the Venice 2 without the spaceship on the back. So which is the raw recorder. I love the design of the Venice 2. You know, I had an opportunity to kind of mess around with it when I was in Dubai, and it's such a good camera. Like the look of the Venice 2, great camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I love the fact that it have
and everything.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it have 2 screens. So one on the operator side and then one for the AC. And then you can have like the quick menus and everything that you can dive into the deeper
It's a
menu.
very functional camera.
Very, very functional. And you know, it have enough SDI ports to go around. I don't remember how many it has, but I think it's maybe like 4 or more.
I don't know.
But and I love the EVF. So the design of the Venice, love it. Great camera. I think even the size of it for gimbal work is fine. Obviously, if it is that you are a videographer and you're using mainly DSLR cameras and you have maybe like a RS2, I have no idea if the Venice can fit on that. But if you're using maybe like a Movie Pro or the Ronin 3 or 2, yeah, then those cameras, I mean, it will fit on those gimbals.
I mean, I wouldn't want to hold that even on a ready rig, but for intents and purposes, you could use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could. Definitely.
Yeah. So where would it sit in the line then, and what price point would you see it existing at? Because one of the things I was saying when we talked about Blackmagic and their release, I was saying I don't think they're going to release what people are asking for, which is a box style camera with all the specs that it has. Because when you look at the lineup of cameras, their strategy is, well, let's step back. We first have to realize, to me, is that Blackmagic Design is a broadcast company first. Yes. They're a broadcast company who decided to go into camera making. So they made software and they made broadcast equipment, and that's where most of their money, in my opinion, comes from, because they're a private company. So we don't get to see their financials, but the broadcast is where it is. So they made broadcast cameras for a long time before, and then they decided to go down to consumer level cameras. I mean, cameras, but a lot of prosumer cameras
with the pocket line.
With the pocket line.
Yeah.
So to me, I feel like they've covered a lot of the ground on the way that they've built out their offerings for cameras. When you look at particularly the 6K Pro, 4K, and the 6K, I think these are purpose built for that section of the market, not even the prosumer. It's really the consumer side of the market that is, well, we want something that gives us good quality, because they have to have a USP, a unique selling point, something that makes the customers buy it. And their USPs that they do small file sizes, great color, great low light still, and then after that, they give it in an easy to use, convenient body that's familiar. It's DSLR. Yes, convenient. And
yeah, it's convenient for the most part.
It's a DSLR body shape because it's familiar. So the way the Blackmagic camera, in my opinion, is built is to be used as a handheld device, not with an external monitor, and not with a bag of accoutrements that we normally put on top of it. It's not built to do that. So, because you can tell, it's not durable. The port breaks easily. You know that because you're holding yours in the lap, in the back of my car, when it broke. And we don't even know how it broke. We just come out of the car and it was broken. And we're driving on smooth road.
It's just broke.
Smooth road. So we know it's not durable, for one, because we have 3 Blackmagics in here right now. 1, 2, 3. And they're all in cages.
We are brand loyalty.
They're all in cages right now. So it's not built to take that. It's rigged up, all in cages, neatly and nicely. It overheats, but not so much. It's actually not bad with the heating.
It's way better than Sony.
Yeah, it's way better than Sony. Yeah. So I think the shape was built for that purpose. Big screen, handheld use, and built for that level of cost. And then the cost, it's about $1,000 to
it's like $1,250 something for the 4K,
and the 6K dropped now because it's like $1,900 and something, or $1,800, I think, for the 6K, not the Pro.
It's the 25.
Yeah, no man, the 6K is cheaper, unless it went back up. The 6K is $1,800 or $1,900 new, and then the Pro is in the $2,800 now. So they dropped the price. So they dropped the price. So to me, it's for that market. It's just that us now, we look and we say, oh well, we're prosumers and we're professionals, but we don't have the money to spend on. And when Blackmagic came out at the time, it was in a time where there weren't many bodies between the $4,000 to $10,000 or $15,000 range. That
it's like the FX9.
Yeah, we didn't really have, because the cheapest next camera up was probably the Red Raven, and that was about $12,000 to $15,000.
Yeah, right at that time was like,
and you could get the cheapest from Apple when Apple was selling it on their website with the package with the lens, the Sigma 18 to 35, and so, and that was a good deal.
Right now, you can still get that deal on B&H, actually, the Dragon X, for about 15 grand.
Yeah. So to me, I think looking at where they built that line, it was built for that. It's just we do enough self, so we'll want to take the quality with them and make and use that in the way that we did. So to me, I feel like the people who are asking for the box shape style camera aren't necessarily the ones that they would give the box style shape camera for, which is why I asked price. Pause. The second thing I would want to say is that the next line on the side of their things, the professional side now, is now the broadcast cameras and the Ursa 12K, so on and so forth. Those are the professional cameras. They're big, they're clunky, they're heavy, but that's a trade-off that they make. So if we're talking about the trade-offs, they make cheap cameras for cheap, like deliver great quality in a usable form factor, but not really fun or customizable for practical use. You have to add everything to it to make it work. Then when you look at the actual pro bodies now, they're larger than other bodies. They're not as necessarily ergonomic, but they have a unique design. So they have a little rhombus, kind of parallelogram rhombus kind of shape. And then you kind of stick all this stuff on it after that, and it works. I think they've covered their market ground, and because of the price point of what they're trying to do, if they're to make let's say them try to make a durable box cast style camera, they're gonna charge more. Fine. They're gonna charge more. That's okay.
Yeah.
If they were to make a cheap style box camera, I feel like it's gonna defeat the purpose because their target market for a cheap style camera are the ones that are familiar with the DSLR shape. So the last thing I'd say is that the only point I see them doing a redesign is if they redesigned their pro line of cameras. That's the 12K, the G2, and whatever else, the broadcast cameras. But because they filled out all of these cameras, to me, fairly recently, I don't see them making any major design change within the next 5 years.
Oh, you're in for a surprise.
No, I know. I don't see them making, if I was to be conservative, maybe 3 years. No, I see a recently unreleased came out, and Grant, I haven't read the article yet. You sent it to me because he always sends me everything today.
Yeah, today.
I haven't read the article, so he's gonna wow me and slam me now. But I don't think, unless if Grant talks about cameras, I do believe Grant is going to be talking about the pro line of cameras. Because any kind of design change now would be in a full redesign. Now there is space in their line for them to unify, because when you look at a lot of the camera companies, where Red and, for example, Sony have moved, is they've created cameras at every space, but they're very form factor and function similar. So you have the FX30
and the FX3. It's like the same
FX6,
camera.
Then the FX9.
Yep.
Then the Venice. And then you have the old Venice is still valid. Then you have the Venice 2, and the Venice 2 have 2 sensors for it.
Yep, 6 and 8.
And then after that, you have the Rialto attachment for it,
which is dope.
Then look at Red now. Red has the Komodo. Then Red has the Raptor. Then it has the Raptor XL.
Yep.
So they have
in both
the line.
Super 35 and full frame
and everything.
Vista Vision.
8K, right?
Yeah.
And then they have the monochrome cameras.
Yep.
But they've structured up that structure. So now, if you're looking at the next, we're not going to count Panavision. We're not counting Panavision.
Yeah, because the DXL2
and we're not counting Ari either.
Yeah.
We're not looking at them. And we're not counting our next favorite from over China.
Kinefinity.
We're not calling,
which is really
them,
doing
which is really
a good job,
yeah,
man.
But adoption in this market is still low.
Yeah.
But we're not going to count Kinefinity. The next person outside is Blackmagic. So Blackmagic, I would say, is lagging behind in terms of the way they've structured out their line. There isn't that middle camera between them. If you say there's a middle camera price point, you look at the G2, because it's around $5,000 for the body.
$6,000.
$6,000.
Yeah.
Call it $5,995, $6,000.
Yeah.
Compare that to the Komodo, $6,000. Compare that to
the FX6.
$6,000. So they're in that space where they're comparing. Yeah, we see they have that line filled out for both the Red and for Sony.
Yeah.
Blackmagic is not unified, in my opinion, in that kind of way. They have the cheap camera. They have the cameras in the position, but design style, you can see a stark line between their prosumer pro cameras and their consumer slightly prosumer cameras.
Right.
So we see that they have that line. They have the Blackmagic has the 4K, 6K Pro, all unified design. Then they have the Broadcast Ursa 6K, Ursa G2, Ursa 12K, all similar design. They just don't have the same features per se. And the sensor in the broadcast, maybe the G2 and the 12K are similar, but the broadcast and the Ursa, the broadcast and the broadcast 6K.
You mean like the square?
The body is the same, but the features aren't, because they have different sensors. So they will have the same dynamic range.
The Ursa,
not the broadcast camera,
okay,
but the broadcast Ursa.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
leaving out the broadcast studio cameras
Mm-hmm.
because we don't those are don't apply to our
Mm-hmm.
particular section of the industry. So I can see where they have some sort of unified design in two groups. The price point is still within two groups. Before they had the 12K, which was supposed to be their expensive camera, but then they brought that down and cut that down price, which I was upset with, because if I was somebody who bought that camera
But
before and you cut
$10,000.
that down to for by 4 or 3 grand,
Five. Yeah,
5 grand,
4 grand
yeah, that's a
essentially.
lot of money.
Yeah.
So I've now effectively lost so much money off of. Imagine I bought my camera
Half of it.
yesterday
Yeah.
and I didn't hear if they gave back people their money.
And it's funny because even the new the storage it's not a NAS, it's something like a NAS. They've slashed that price too. So you know what? With the article, guys. So
So yeah, let's talk about the
there's an
article.
article that came out today from Y Cinema.
YM Cinema.
YM
Yeah,
Cinema, right? And basically the article was talking about Blackmagic and what they're going through at the moment internally, which is, from reading the article, I understand why the delay in the the new camera has been taking so long, because of parts. And I read in the article that Blackmagic is their bulk of their income apparently and their sales come from parts. So like probably when you sending your camera to repair, I don't know, you know what I mean, but it's parts. And they said that for 2020 2021 they lost money because they couldn't supply the market, but the demand was there. So at least we know that people are interested in purchasing the cameras. And
Very
then
much.
you're also correct in terms of where they're going in terms of broadcasting, because even the pocket line of cameras, right? They introduced the ability to control lenses and broadcasting features to the
In their
pocket line
latest
of
release,
cameras.
yeah,
Yeah.
is very
So
broadcast focused.
yeah, so I mean, I get it. I understand, and something in the article gave me hope to say that eventually this box style camera is gonna come, even if it's not like this year. Even though from the article and reading what they're saying in terms of they're coming with a load. It's like when they said that, they're coming with a lot of new technology. It's like, I'm like, so what could this actually be? Like, it sounds like cameras and it sounds like infrastructure to support not only the broadcast but also filmmakers. So
So
I know I have a
here's my
feeling.
hot take.
Huh?
So we're
Sure.
gonna place bets. Since you want to place bets, we're gonna place bets. Because Dennis said he should have bet me, before. Oh, I'm gonna bet you it's a new camera. Should I bet you? And I'm eating words about 20 minutes later when Grant ended the stream and there was no new camera other than the studio
Yeah, I
cameras.
swear to God, it was more than 20 minutes.
More than 20 minutes, yeah, man. Well, so what I think the new technology is their new technology will be aligned with making the broadcast process easier. So if you look at frame.io and their cloud to card to cloud or whatever, C2C. And then there's another company that does that a little in another way too. I feel like most of their innovations are going to go around streamlining that, because they came up with 2 new studio cameras, studio Blackmagic cameras. They have built-in feature plus the new 8M, and they've been upgrading it, because at first they had 2, then they had another one, then they have a next one up above that now, a bigger one.
Style? Okay,
yeah, so they have a bigger broadcast panel, if you want to call
and
it
this
that.
this new 8M coming 2 bodies actually.
Yeah.
So
So I feel like whatever new technology will be definitely an innovation, but an innovation on the broadcast side and the software matched with hardware, so infrastructure. Do I think that they're going to innovate with cameras per se? It's hard to say. I feel like they can. I feel like there's room to do it, but I just don't feel like it sells, because they make a cheap camera. They make cheap cameras. That's their business. That's their USP. They make cheap cameras that are great, and then they make cheap cameras also, but that work for broadcast. Because look at, the local companies or other friend, they use explicitly have Phase 3 uses Sony, and they have M1, they use Blackmagic. And Blackmagic is a cheaper buy into a system for somebody who's starting out, wants to build a local broadcast house, but doesn't want to necessarily spend all the money that
because
you'd
you can
spend
literally get everything from one company.
You literally can, and it
Everything.
all works together. So they have think about like how Apple works. They have vertical intro the entire supply, and they can serve themselves in ways that makes it so much easier, just like how they do with their cameras and the software, the Blackmagic B-Raw. And when you throw that into DaVinci, wow, it delivers. So I'm not saying, a part of me wants to believe that they're going to, the idealistic part of me wants to believe that they're going to deliver on a new camera, but I don't believe they serve cinematographers and the filmmaking industry first. I don't. No, if they did, they would have made sure their cameras are all Netflix approved. They would have done da. Even though we know some of these things. Is that
on their part though?
They're on their part. I think so. I think
get it submitted.
Because it has to meet certain requirements. Okay. So once it meets, and I think I don't know what Netflix internal things are, but sometimes I think it's marketing.
I think it's also overrated. And
Netflix, it is, but it's also, but it does,
not really.
But it does serve a purpose.
It does.
It serves a purpose to
like
say that.
Rights.
Sorry?
It's almost like
yes, it is bragging rights. It is bragging rights to say that your camera is approved by Netflix has a lot of face value. But real and true, you're going to fine print. You can go around that. You can shoot with a Netflix approved Komodo or something, but only to a certain percentage. You still have to have a big camera in it. But if you want to call it that.
The Netflix approved, this whole thing about Netflix approved cameras is only because if Netflix is doing the production, from my understanding. So you can submit a film that
doesn't use
anything
on any camera. Okay, that's true. Actually, that is true.
But it is their internal structure and productions now that require
the standard.
Yes, a sensor to be now apparently 6K and not 4K. And I don't even know why that makes sense, because now the Arri Super 35 isn't 6K. So I don't know what's gonna be happening. Yeah, but like, are they not going to approve Arri Super 35?
It's Arri. I mean, we'll check. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, it really matter. Arri still not lose money after not making Netflix shows.
But you know what? Yeah. There's been an increase in productions with the Sony Venice.
Yes, there have been. Because there's some of the shows. I was on set with one of the local productions, and they were shooting with 3 Sony Venices, and I mean, they were all overheating. Wow. And they had fans behind. They had, I won't name the show, but they had fans like this, like bigger versions of this. Wow. That was probably as big as the pop filter. That's or crazy. Smaller, and cutched right behind the camera to keep them cool.
That's crazy. Mind you, we live in Jamaica.
Huh? Mind you, we live in Jamaica, and Jamaica is very hot. Yeah. So we can understand they may not be purpose built, but as a Venice, as a camera, I still think it's
cinema camera. You're paying upwards 80 to 100.
There must have been some other issue that we weren't aware of, but maybe the batch of those cameras just never really good. Them come from, maybe they're using them in Antarctica before, and them just carry them come straight to Jamaica, and then they're just not ready circuitry wise, and they need some servicing, and bam, they weren't working.
Because these cameras are using in Dubai and Las Vegas.
And Dubai, I'm sure Dubai hotter than Jamaica.
And Vegas is quite hot too. Yeah. So, these desert places, even LA can get really hot. So I think that they'll think about these things in terms of operational temperature. But
back to Blackmagic. So I have faith, but very little. My conclusion is that I believe that if Blackmagic is to deliver a redesign and something groundbreaking, they are not going to do that within the next 3 to 5 years is when I would expect something like that to happen. And that might be a refinement of their existing line. I don't imagine, if you look at the move from the Ursas, the original Ursas to the Ursa Mini, it still was a similar, it's a very slight move.
It's the same
but
body,
it's the same body, just So I feel like if they're to do anything different, I think a space would be for them to go smaller. But then you have to question now, are they going to be able to deliver on the technology and the quality that they deliver on with the G2?
Of course.
No. Wait till the question are done. deliver on the quality while maintaining the same price point without any trade-offs. Because the G2 is a capable camera. 240 FPS at
That's what,
whatever rate, something
1080
there. 1080. It
and
has great
120 at
frame rates,
4.6K.
great sensor, all the right outputs. Durability is still kind of lacking, because the SDI ports sometimes get fried and yada da da da. So, and that might be user
right.
error too, on some of them. But you know, the camera still delivers at a certain price point. Comparing these to other brands, they're generally more money, you know, in the $20,000, $15,000 up for the body alone.
Yeah,
and Blackmagic
like
is coming in below $7,000.
right.
Yeah, exactly. So if we're to see them challenge that, I think it would require an entire redesign of their strategy as it relates to the kinds of cameras they deliver. And then you're going to have to ask, are they going to be able to continue to deliver the $1,000, $2,000 cameras within that kind of space? Because look at everybody else. Sony, the cheapest camera now Sony has is the FX. I don't know if it's cheapest, but they have the FX30, which is $1,800 US. And then after that, you know, you have the next one up, which is like $4,000, and the next one up, which is $6,000, and the next one up, which is the 9,000, and the next one up, which is whatever thousands. So they have, you know, you see it, but that's Sony. You know, Sony gonna do that because Sony business big,
rapid releases,
Sony
man.
big like house.
I feel like Sony have an album deal that they're trying to
and
get out of.
Try to get out, and them start dash out camera.
You get a camera. You get a camera.
I ain't gonna lie, Sonys are attractive. I see myself owning an FX6. I used one. Oh man, I love the FX6. The low light capabilities on that.
Yeah.
Man, it is, and then it's a very functional camera. It gets the job done. You throw yourself into a situation, boom, it works. My brethren Caesar, big up Caesar, who doesn't like red cameras. I shot with his camera while we're on the Jamrock Reggae cruise, and it was really nice to shoot with it. Man, it was really nice. I did not regret getting the Komodo, not at all.
Oh yeah,
but
he bought a Komodo.
Yeah, I did get a Komodo. But I don't regret getting the Komodo, but I do see where the FX6 is very functional in certain use cases,
especially for run and gun.
Yeah, so would I want to own a Sony FX6? Yes. Am I going to own a Sony FX6? Probably. Or some other version of a Sony. I would, if I see myself owning cameras, I would say I'd own a Red Komodo and maybe a Raptor, and then I'd own a Sony FX6 and then a Sony FX3 or 30, and that would be, and then you know, I would work those in the market. In Jamaica, I feel like it doesn't matter so much if you're working with primarily Jamaican clients, or in a particular sector of the market. In the US, I would probably do more because there's a larger market, there's different clients, you can really work in more spaces and still be pretty successful. So then you can have that, and then it's a large market, you can rent the camera out the same way.
As well as it depends on your clientele and what your clientele want to do in terms of your own personal success in film. So,
and then the cameras do say things about you. It's just like, I know sometimes people tend to say, oh, Red is not this and that, it's just a brand name. Yeah, in a lot of ways, the brand name speaks a lot. It says, just in a way that the way that you dress says a lot about you, the car that you drive, the where you live, all of these things say something about you. I'm not saying it's always right that it does. I'm not saying it's always fair that it does. But the reality is that within a social space, the world that we live in, it says something about you when you present yourself a certain way.
If you show up in a Porsche versus showing up
so there's a certain brand equity that you get from owning a Red that you won't get from owning a Blackmagic. They will clown you. Like any real filmmaker or professional will clown you. I've seen it on the pages, and they have to defend them. And they clown them. They clown Blackmagic people
lenses,
all the time.
Man. Those Rokinon lenses,
they will clown you for that. They will clown you for. They will even clown you for the Sigmas right now. Fam, if you have the Sigma 18 to 35, they will clown it, and I will go on record and saying it's
big up BB.
It's not a bad lens. It's
big up BB.
Big up BB. Hey, big up BB the DP. They will clown you for that lens, but it's still for a particular section of the market.
Yep.
It's okay, but it's when these people start to pretend, oh, I'm a filmmaker.
Yeah.
I mean, you make films. I guess you're a filmmaker. It don't really matter.
Story is king, yo.
Yeah, story is king. So I don't know. I love Blackmagic and I'll always love them and I'll always use their cameras.
Mm-hmm.
I love my camera. I love using it. It's a great camera. Now that I have a different camera now as my A camera, the way that I use that camera is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer my primary camera.
Mm-hmm.
And it's particularly well it's a global sensor on the red and the dynamic range is better and you see it. You can definitely see it in the footage. So and there's definitely a red quality that you get from the footage.
Plus the IPP.
Plus the IPP2 Pro, yeah. So which I'm learning and it's cool. So, but you know, with the Blackmagic now, definitely the red isn't that great at low light. It's not. It's not that great at low light as the red or the Sony cannot compare. As the Sony or the Blackmagic cannot compare. But there are still ways in which you can use it that works. You just have to kind of think about that. So I would still own a Blackmagic. I would still use my Blackmagic. And I don't know where I'll go camera wise in the future. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm brand agnostic. It's just a tool and I'll shoot with this today because this works at a right price point for what I need it for. And you know, I love cameras that I'm able to build up and break down. So if I want to have a big setup and pull focus, like then I can be agile for that. If I want to have a studio build, if I want to have a handheld run and gun build, I can do that and I can get what I need out of it. The Sony is nice and I love the Sony FX6 too, but the quality and the eye that I have for the kind of images I like, I'm drawn more to the image that's produced by the red versus the Sony. I do like the way Sony images are. When you process them and you color them and you send them to good colors. I've seen work that Darren has done. I don't know if it was a Grace commercial and it was Sony A7S2 footage and it was sublime. He colored
it's all about
it out of that
lighting.
You could tell it's not red footage, but it still was very beautiful. And it was there are a lot of night scenes in that too. It was well done. So it to me, it don't matter. I'm more concerned and excited about lenses right now than I am about camera bodies. Lenses are where it's at for me. I want to know more about lenses. I want to study lenses. I want to see how I can you know, tweak and create, like even with Rapido and what they did. They now have it where you can swap out your taking lenses. You can have your taking lenses customized, so you can actually take them off on the fly. And I'm like,
I've been thinking about doing
so
that.
I want to get a set of Nikkor lenses. And I want to make those. And then but anyways, I digress.
What do you like, Petzl or
Petzl lenses, yeah. It's listen, man, there's some lenses I'd love to fool around with. And I love that.
I think for me, like conclusion wise, in terms of Blackmagic and, you know, my stance with Blackmagic, definitely still hopeful. I feel like, you know, with them affirming that they have new technology.
That's the song I wanted to make, guys.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, with the new technology that that Grant has mentioned, I know that eventually, even if I think it will come before 3 years, especially with the article and just kind of learning more about their positioning right now as a business with parts and stuff, I can see how building a whole new model of a camera and delivering that to a market, because mind you, the demand for this camera is going to be really high.
It is going to be high.
So the anticipation for a G3 is so high. So if they can deliver, you know, it's gonna end up like how the FX6 was when it released, backlog. So you order and it's like you have to order right as it dropped.
Man, but Blackmagic has just had a history of quality assurance issues. Like even with the sensors out of two comparable 6Ks, you'll just have different issues with them. Trust me, I remember I had a brethren, you know, and he had an issue with the camera and he said effectively he went for them to get it repaired and he said effectively they told him to buy a new one. It's cheap enough. That's the expectation they have for those particular cameras. So it's like, I want to have faith, but their business model and brand doesn't say to me that they care about some of the things that I care about and the things that I want out of a camera.
Hey, you know what too? They're like Apple. They don't tell you anything.
No, they don't.
They only release.
Grant Petty is a petty man.
Yo, like Blackmagic literally just dropped something on you overnight.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, I can't say no. And I can't say yes.
Yeah, you can't. You're kind of stuck in limbo.
Yeah.
But I've decided to step out of limbo and stop believing. Yeah, man.
I go on with it.
Yeah,
But
well,
to
if
be
it.
honest, like, you know, I've as a filmmaker, as an image maker,
Yeah.
um, I care a lot about what the sensor is gonna deliver for me in terms of an image maker. And I mean, at the end of the day, you know, it really comes down to your lighting, how
Yeah.
well you can light and how
Yep.
well
Yep.
you can
Yep.
tell stories. But you know, this isn't specifically for stories, but in terms of building images and making images. So I think Blackmagic delivers on image quality. And I feel like that's why a lot of us as indie filmmakers gravitate to Blackmagic. But to be honest, if I'm not interested in owning another two prosumer cameras, I feel like I'll stay in the gutter with a 6K or a 6K Pro if I need internal NDs, which, yeah, again, the issues that I have with Blackmagic with the IR pollution, I'll end up having to change out the OLPF glass inside the body to make sure that I don't have IR pollution.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's
because
crazy,
I
bro.
right now I just recently changed my 6K OLPF glass. And an OLPF is basically optical
Low pass filter.
low pass filter, which helps to reduce or eliminate IR rays
Yeah,
that
air
hit your
pollution.
sensor.
Yeah,
Yeah, the pollution of the sensor.
which is
So it
pretty
shifts your
cool.
colors.
But
So yeah, so you know, and this investment in that glass is not cheap either, because it cost me a little bit over $500 just to get
just to
that
purchase
glass.
it, not to pay customs them money.
Yeah, so thankfully somebody brought it in for me, so I didn't have to pay customs. So you know what I mean, because it's a small kit, and I have a video coming about that too. I don't know at what point in time this video will be live, but you know, I changed it out. So those are the issues that I have with Blackmagic, and hopefully they'll fix it in the newer updates bodies. But you know, seeing the trend that is there, I can't bet on it.
I'm a
I
non-believer,
cannot bet
guys.
that they will address these issues
Do not bet.
because they need to, or they wish to provide us with value for less, and that's their motto. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they provide value
So
for less, so they're not gonna fix the
yep,
OLPF.
they're not gonna do
They're
it.
not gonna fix
The port
um the
issues,
port issues. They're
yep,
not gonna fix the
not gonna do that.
durability because they're not issues.
No,
They're trade-offs.
yep,
And
there are
if they're to
trade-offs.
fix them, then they're
It's
going
gonna
to
cost
cost more.
you.
No, from a business perspective,
No,
nah.
and they're a
They
private company, as you say, so
yeah.
they don't have investors pumping money into.
Grant good.
Yeah,
Grant a
yeah, yeah,
broadcast
yeah.
money, brethren.
Yep. So,
Grant good. Grant
and the
just a
funny thing is,
throw bones and carrots.
in the article, it also said
Mm.
that they absorb certain
Losses.
expenses, yeah,
Mm.
and loss, because they're just good with it. So I'm like, you
Yeah.
must be making a lot of money to be able to do that, or you just have other
Yeah,
investments, I
because
guess, or
this
whatever. I don't know.
you might look on the Blackmagic Pocket 4K, 6K, and 6K Pro cameras. They might be just loss leaders. They might be not what they make money on, but it gets you into their ecosystem and then they upsell you on everything else. So they might not be making money off the Blackmagic cameras, but they're making money off of the A10 Pros. They're making money because you might get into their system and they say, oh, well, you're going to buy the Blackmagic first, 6K. Then you say, all right, well, you're going to buy the converters, you buy the this, you buy the that. You say, oh, well, I'm going to get the software. The software normally comes with it. So fine, you bought into the software ecosystem. You realize how good it is. Then you say, all right, let me just get the A10. You get the A10 now. You say, oh, you need more for Blackmagic cameras. And you say, oh, you need the converters. And you say, oh, you need the this and that and that and that and
And
that.
they give you
And then
the
get
lens control
yeah.
stuff and all
So
that.
so they get you to buy into the system, and then when you buy into the system, that's where they get you. They get you on a comeback.
Yeah, okay.
They get you by
But
the
for
hook, you
me,
know.
future wise, I am more. I've been looking a lot at the Sony Venice,
Yeah.
the first iteration of that camera, as a worthy investment, as well as the mini, the Ari mini.
Alexa Mini.
It's
The
been,
original Mini, meaning the not new
yeah,
Super
not the mini
35,
LF, but
not
the
the new one.
mini. Yeah.
Mini, okay. Because they
Um.
released it, they have the Mini LF,
Mhm.
then they have the new Mini, and then they have the original Mini.
No, they have the mini LF, and then the Super 35,
Super 35,
Ari
yes. So not the
35.
Super
Yeah.
35, not the Mini, not the LF,
The
but the
mini.
Mini.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So with that camera, you know, I've had conversations with Darren about this. Obviously, you know, depending on where the market that you're performing in, it will dictate how much money you'll even make from that camera, from a
Yeah.
rental. Plus, like long term wise, is it a great investment?
Yeah.
For me as an image maker, I do see it as a investment and one
In
that
the Jamaican market, bro.
no, not in Jamaica.
Yeah, I would not buy that camera. I
First of
would
all,
not spend more than
no.
6 or 7 grand on a camera body
Mm,
in the Jamaican market. And 6 or 7 grand is still a lot of money
it is.
because that's just the body alone. I
Mm-hmm.
would not spend more than that. If I wasn't the first to have a black array in Jamaica or second or
Mm.
third, I wouldn't be spending on that because that camera not going to get rent out much.
Yeah, but I'm not
Yeah.
really looking at the
So
Jamaican market.
I not gonna invest 35,000 because you've been sending me all of those
Oh
links
yeah,
to those cameras on sale because the prices are looking very
they're
good. They're
dropping.
dropping because they were 40
Yeah,
grand odd before
now
with
they're
all
like
the licenses.
28
Now
and
they are 28 to
29.
35 and
But
39. The
to
prices
be
are
honest,
good.
man,
Mm,
both the Mini and the Sony Venice, the first gen,
mm,
great cameras, but the first gen Sony is 6K sensor, first of all. So you have that. It can do raw. That's great.
mm,
And the price points are similar for the first gen.
mm,
And I've been looking at both of them, but on a long-term basis.
mm.
And I guess when in a couple of years from now, when I'm making more money, when I'm making more films and being more successful as a cinematographer, as an image maker, as a DP, and working outside of Jamaica, because that's my goal and my vision. I don't want to be tied to just making films in Jamaica because I feel like the world is, a huge place to go and, go on adventures and tell stories from each corner of the world. And even representing yourself all the way across the other side of the world is
Mm-hmm.
something that I want to do. So, like you could hire me in Greece to shoot a project. And if it speaks to me, it speaks to me.
Yeah, same.
Um, but owning your own package is also a level up. And then even just shooting your own personal films. I just want an Arri because that's the camera I prefer.
Yeah, I mean,
And if
I
I
should.
can afford it,
If yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna do it. That's
yeah,
it. If I
say
can
it
afford
straight.
it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
You see me? But I just don't want to spend like I don't want to buy a Raptor and then an FX6
Mm.
or a FX6 and then a
Yeah.
Raptor and then this and
Yeah, it
have like
depends. I mean,
six
it depends on the
bodies.
type of business you're building because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
in the idealistic world, sure, it'd be nice to own all of these things, but in a practical sense,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not building a business that serves the market in a way that demands you to use those things, then it don't matter. I got myself a camera that works for the use cases I do. I want to
Mm-hmm.
produce content that's really high quality,
Mm-hmm.
and I want something that's also flexible and functional in the way that I use it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not great for everything. It's not going to be a great documentary camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even they just came up with a ELQ file size
Setting.
now,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so you can use that for that kind of purpose. I'm gonna test
I
that and
low
see how it
key feel like
works.
they did that for
Yeah,
content
for
creators.
content creators. But
Yeah.
like for me, between I want to get more into content.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That I am shoot music videos sometimes. I shoot commercial
Mm-hmm.
stuff sometimes. I shoot different things, so it works as a general middle of the road. But I don't have the money to buy an Ari. I'd love to own an Ari
Mm-hmm.
Super 35 or LF. I don't have the money to buy an Ari, but I still need something that I need to own. Just as the point you just made,
Yes.
you have to
Yes.
own something to
Mm-hmm.
use, and I want something that's durable,
Mm-hmm.
something
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to give me a bag of issues, and something that's easy to move with, and I can scale up and down.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great camera. If
Is
it's
it?
not that, it's a Z cam, or it's a Canon have a new box style
Hell no.
thing. So I wouldn't get the Z cam. But big up the Z cam. Big up Z cam users like Bridging.
Big up Zeke.
When name from over
You know him beat
Portland.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Damian.
Yeah.
Big him up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So but yeah, bro. So I think I mean, I'm more of a belief. I would rather own right now. I'm more focused in owning lenses
Yep.
than I'm about a camera body.
Yep.
Because I feel like that's the thing I'm chasing now. Trying to understand lens and light so at a deeper level. Because I do admit there's some places I really, really want to grow towards, and I want to really get so much better at.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my interest is. But we can talk all day about cameras. We can
Facts.
talk all day about,
Facts.
owning. We can talk all day about Blackmagic and the foolishness them I do sometimes. But at the end of the day, it's really about the story. It's really
Yep.
about your talent
Yep.
to
Yep.
tell story using these tools that you have. whether it is, you know, your lens or your camera or your light or your this or your that or your words. It's all about what goes into the final product, what the final product is, because people out there sometimes doing some cool shit on iPhones and doing
That
some
is
cool
true.
stuff on smaller cameras, pinhole
That's true.
cameras, you know, not pinhole, but yeah, you know the vibe. They're doing stuff,
Yeah.
so it's all about delivering. All right, so if I may, I wanted to ask you, what are
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts since we're doing this video now? We're here.
Mm-hmm.
So Jamaica just announced Nigel, big up Nigel,
Sir Clark.
Sir Clark, big up Renee, big up Natalie, big up
Yeah.
Justine, big up Brian
Mission,
Sanjus,
Shafter.
Jafta, big
Mm-hmm.
up Jafta. They just announced yesterday a $1 billion Jamaica Screen Fund.
Over 2 years.
Over 2 years, 500 million Jamaican. This is in Jamaican dollars now.
Mm-hmm.
500 million Jamaican in the first year, which is 2023 to 2024, and then the rest to be delivered over that. And that's the first round. So the
Mm-hmm.
1 billion Jamaican is the first round of Jamaica Screen Fund.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to kind of fund proof of concepts. It's from what I can tell so far, because they haven't released all of the information, but it's going to fund proof of concepts, and it's going to fund also writing, animations, and in some ways is going to function as a sort of ad hoc, if not a tax incentive for international productions coming into
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica. How do you feel about that, and what are your thoughts? Your preliminary thoughts, because it just released, and we don't know everything about it yet, and we don't know anything about the process. We're only making assumptions.
Only
What are
assumptions,
your
yeah.
thoughts about that?
Um, so I think it's a good step in the right direction. Um, I My wish is to see Jamaica film industry grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this initiative is allowing not only the government to move in a particular direction, but us as filmmakers and as a community, as a
Mm-hmm.
film community, to move with some alacrity now to form alliances, to standardize an industry
Mm-hmm.
to achieve the collective goals. So now that it's been introduced, I think, yeah, it's great. It's great. I just have some gripes we know Jamaica, and a whole heap of corruption has been going on right now in Jamaica, sadly, and it's been the talk of the town. So I feel like with initiatives like these, it's gonna come with a downside, irrespective. Like, I'm not gonna be naive to think that this is gonna come without any type of bias and politics. It's gonna come with
Yeah,
it.
that seems to be the word on the wire.
Yeah, I think it's
Like
gonna
the lack
come
of
with
integrity in the due process.
right.
And I'm sure, anyways, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited, but I'm not gonna play naive to the things that we've seen happen to not to other people in other industries like teachers and nurses. So we're not better than them, and we're creatives, and creatives in Jamaica already don't have a lot of respect
Mm-hmm.
from entities, whether corporate or private,
Mm-hmm.
government. So it's a good step. We have been proving ourselves over time as filmmakers that this is a viable way
Industry.
to, yeah, it's a viable
I mean, we
industry.
didn't even need to prove it, because, I mean, maybe in the context of Jamaica, I
Yeah, in the
guess,
context of
but
Jamaica.
overall, the industry,
Mm-hmm.
$1 trillion industry.
Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
is. So the proof is in the pudding. It's there, and now we're getting the support. Finally, I'm just hoping that Jamaicans benefit a lot
Mm-hmm.
from this fund, as well as the stories. It's more story based than people based.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not because we know say you
Yeah, I
want to do a
mean,
film,
there's still a space. I agree. I
so
feel like I'm reserving most of my comments until
mhm,
they release the verbiage on what it is and how you go about doing it,
right.
and I have the
The
opportunity to read
requirements
through
that are
that,
needed
and
to
then I can
mhm,
see clearly. I mean, I know the main thing is that we need to make sure that we are ready.
mhm,
We've all been in different spaces, writing, producing,
mhm,
doing all kind of projects, and a lot of us in many ways feel like we are ready to kind of take that step, and we're
mhm,
happy for the opportunity. I feel like, yeah, there are questions I would have, preliminarily about it is just what percentage of it goes to Jamaicans, what percentage serves the foreigners, because it is going to get foreigners, what percentage serve the tax incentive, what's the process to selection, and how do they allocate so that not just the big agencies, big producers, big this, big that,
like first
get that
preference.
there. And I mean, I feel a sense of responsibility to it as a director of JAFTA, that, now in this position, myself and the other board members have the opportunity to look into that process now and see how we can contribute towards it. I mean, a lot of that is already established. A lot of that, in some ways, as the work has already been done by some of the persons we named earlier. So we're still now just waiting to hear and then have conversation to see where that goes. So I'm excited about it. I'm still hopeful. I'm not naive like you. I understand. I know this is Jamaica.
This is JAAA.
But yeah, I'm excited, and I wait until everything else come out, because me know, say me put in the work.
All right.
And me know say me a go apply. And me not say me must get it, But me want to see who gets it over me if they get it. Cause we know.
No bias.
So we put in another bias, but we put in the work.
bias.
When you put in the work, and it's not a boastful thing. There are a lot of people, not just myself, within a lot of my peers in the community who've been produced. I can say that what we're lacking sometimes is the skill level to approach those things from a professional space. So, for example, knowing how to write grants, knowing how to grants is definitely a big part, because most of the things like Transcultura that's been going on, and UNICEF, I think it's Creative Caribbean or Caribbean Creative or whatever it is, and a lot of them, I think they might have been undersubscribed because people don't know how to navigate the technical academic ways that you have to kind of meander to get it done
Even
properly.
something like Wildlife.
Yeah, Wildlife, it would definitely brought me to a new level. You too, as you go through, it brought me to a new level to understand what is the process you need to do to kind of take advantage of these opportunities.
We had to write pitches.
We had to write pitches, and we had to deeply analyze our own businesses and identify core issues and problems, and then shape solutions for them, and then say what we're going to do about that.
And it gave us such a great platform to work with other people.
Network and
was like the biggest thing in Wildlife, and I'm really grateful for that. So like anybody who watches this right now, if you even make it to this part,
because God knows how long this video is.
If you make it to this part, check out Wildlife.
Definitely check out Wildlife.
Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative.
Even if it may not serve you creatively, because it might not. I will be straight and honest. It might not serve you creatively as a filmmaker, or video producer, or video cinematographer, whatever in the video field. But fundamentally, as it will develop you as a business person and an individual so much more. It's definitely worth it. Programs like this, take advantage of it, because them usually have age limits. Take advantage of it because before you get to all, because it's a good opportunity. They pay for everything, and you just go there, and all you have to do is just put yourself in a position to work.
Apply yourself.
So to go back to this Jamaica Screen Fund conversation, I'm looking forward to it, and I want to see all my people them apply, and just take advantage of the opportunities. And if you don't know where I do, send me an email. We'll make time to answer it. Send me an email. We will try my best for help out, because
his IG.
Put the IG there. Send me a DM. I mean, I can get him my email, like get him my general email. Contact.
I thought your email was on your
IG. It's on my business. It actually is tied to my IG. You're correct. It is. It is. So just check my IG and do that. But yeah, Mr. Fife. So we've navigated a few things. We've had a few conversations. It's about an hour gone now. I don't know.
Bless who watch the whole of this, because it's gonna be partly entertaining. And if you love film, then you'll probably listen.
I have a song with more end with still, But we know which song I edit, We know song. So you know the song that them. What song go again now? 'cause I'm hopeful. Yes, I am hopeful for today. You know, say I play the song there, so no. And then I know when them have the end
No copyright
a Fast
strike.
and Furious, and them have it in the stars, and the people I'm dead. Yeah, you that with the bird dove them a fly. Then he's hopeful for
Oh,
Blackmagic release a box style camera with all the features. But me,
yo,
no
box
sir.
seller.
Move
Come,
on,
I
brother.
believe in a Blackmagic.
Believe in a Black
Them I
Magic.
gotta deliver.
Gun finger.
But I might switch.
Might switch. Where I go. So if you were to switch, no, we're not going to talk about Arica.
Yeah.
Aria, I'm still big money.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to switch to a camera that you could say
Of
it's
course.
within your affordable range now, you
Mhm.
know, what would the camera be? So not even affordable. Let's say within a sub $10,000 frame, and
That's a
that's
tough
but
one.
let's say a G,
Hmm?
a camera that exists, you know, not a
Yeah,
theoretical
no, it's a
camera.
tough one.
So what would be that camera that you would buy? Body only. Let's say body only. It's less than $10,000. Which camera body you would buy?
I feel like it's
one camera.
it's a tough
No, choose
decision,
one.
but
You have
I
a gun
feel
to your
like
head. Which I have a gun to your head. Which
it would
camera?
be the Komodo.
Okay,
It
boom.
probably would be the Komodo.
There you go. Done.
It
Buy a
probably
Komodo,
would be.
please. Buy a Komodo now, so we can have a Komodo.
Because
Let's buy it, Danny.
like
Let's buy
the
it, Danny.
other option
Danny.
would be the FX6.
Yeah. All right. Now I'm gonna lie. The FX6 is a nice camera.
It is.
I hope Caesar watch this because he's gonna be like, yeah, I told you. The FX6 is an. I have one or two gripes with it, like the way the handle attached and the audio thing on the top. I hate that. But other than that, and then when you have to put the spaceship on the back to do all the other stuff, other than that,
you need that.
Yeah, man, it have a spaceship version.
Hold on, FX6 can do RAW with the external
I think
recorder?
so. Yeah, because he has a spaceship for his. I think, yeah, man. I need to check, but he's got the fat back for it.
I didn't know.
Yeah, man, he got the fat back for it, bro.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Okay.
It's crazy camera. It's nice though. It's nice to use.
I'd prefer something that can shoot RAW internally though. But to be honest, if this is a very tough one because I'd probably end up doing two cameras. And
you heard it here first. Denny's buying a Komodo.
And then the other one with the FX6. FX6 would probably be my run and gun thing for documentary because I want to do a lot more documentary work.
Yeah.
And so with Auto ND, that's a great feature.
Yeah.
And then the electronic ND and the NDs are great. It's not like Blackmagic with the shift. Well, from my
dog, you can get the Komodo
research,
dog, and then you can just buy the Kipper tie with the ND in there, very ND, and you're done, bro.
You know, I guess
I'm just kidding. The Kipper tie is like $2,000, bro.
Doesn't
so
that affect?
It's gonna be.
Well, obviously you need to shim, but it doesn't affect the transition of the light? And do you lose
the
a certain amount of
No, not that. Well, actually, let me not say no. I don't know. I've only seen that that's a popular option that Komodo users get, and it comes highly recommended.
Okay.
So, but I don't know the technical about whether or not there's a significant amount of light loss, or light transmission.
It's a distance to travel versus like it being right up on the film.
Yeah, well, I mean, remember it's a not a gapless sensor, but it's a small flange distance, and it goes right behind the lens. So, to be honest, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. But it's popular. So, and it looks like the only thing I don't like is just it sticks out a little bit, so it's gonna affect your rigging, and you would have to use Kipper ties, chin strap to support it, the mount, because of course the mounts aren't super durable, so you'd want to have support for it. But
and plus, why I might even go Komodo is because with the updates you can do. You can have autofocus, usable autofocus.
Yeah, you can have usable autofocus.
So
bro,
it's not a bad deal.
Yeah.
But I just say right now, lenses have been my
bro. Lenses are the plug. Did you see that new book No, we need to wrap up this thought, bro. That new book that came out, the lenses. I don't remember what it's called, man. But the lens book, man, it's an 800-page book, bro.
I don't know.
And it has like all like essentially how lenses are made. Spherical lenses and anamorphic lenses, and it goes into the details.
That's one of my favorite acquisitions.
Yeah, man. It is. Listen, man. It is.
That's another episode.
But that's another episode, guys. I'm gonna buy the book, and we're going to start talking about that.
Yeah, there's a couple books that I can definitely.
Yeah. So thank you for joining. I don't know.
Yo,
Denny and Randy's podcast.
Yo, is that thing, people?
Is that thing?
Like, I think it may be a good idea to do something like that.
It's cool. This was a cool vibe. Let's do this again.
Yeah, after. So
Wonder Twins, unite.
After an exhausting 1 hour and change,
17 minutes. Bro. My God.
We give thanks if you actually tuned in so far. I don't know if I'll cut this down, but I feel like I just might put the whole thing up.
Yeah, bro, put it on. Let them watch it, man.
Yeah, put the
you
whole
can
thing
watch
up.
this while you listen to something, you know, I would do some work or something. Watch the entire thing, man.
I'm gonna actually create.
If you can binge watch one season in a day, you can watch a 1 hour, 17-minute video of a peers talking about the industry and technology.
And we need things like this.
And we need like this. We need more conversation. So I could do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna create a podcast.
Just put on the thumbnail. Just put a big body girl on the something. Them gonna click it. I'm just
that
kidding.
is true. Actually,
they would click it though. They would. They would. Clickbait. Well, we need a thumbnail. How are we doing the thumbnail? Oh, we should fight like a fighting pose.
Can I ask Julia if we take it?
No, bro, we can't just pose and take a screen grab. Isn't that what you do?
It's not high quality.
It's not high quality.
I mean, you can, but it's
bro,
6K.
Pose. Come, let's do the pose. Cause that's what all the cool YouTubers do, dog.
What?
That's all the cool YouTubers. When fight, it's a sophisticated.
No, you're wrong.
All right, cool. Thumbnail. Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So, thanks for tuning in. It's a nameless podcast. For now.
If you want more of this, tell us in the comments.
Yeah, if you found valuable information in this talk, then feel free to subscribe. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that you watch the next video. So more content is coming, and short form content too. So look out for some stuff on.
And if you have a dream camera setup, well, spec wise, let Denny know in the comments. Do you think
that Blackmagic is going to release a box style camera within 2020?
And this is not for our Jamaican friends only. Anybody in the Blackmagic community, get your SEO up. Anybody in the Blackmagic community, let us know what your thoughts are. And we really want like some deep thoughts. We could know because it's a serious business right now.
Let us know if you think that Blackmagic is going to come out with a box style camera in 2023, and also what specs.
Yeah.
Down in the comments. Go.
All right.
Peace,
guys.
Much love. Respect.
All right.
So do you do like TV and just turn to each other and just
it's going push by the chair and take up the paper there, man.
Roll credits.
Roll credits. Yeah.